Okay, so we have our brand new HTML file, and in order to create that assignment 2, which was the grocery list, you needed an input. So you can just put an input. Since we're using JavaScript, we don't have to like surround the input with a form and all that. But normally you do have a form when you're creating inputs.
I'm sorry, since you weren't recording, can you just do that first section real quick? The
Hmm.
file, new folder, and all that good stuff.
For sure. Let's delete the grocery folder. So I'm creating a new folder, calling it grocery. When I open VS Code, I'm going to say file open folder and then open that grocery folder. It's going to be our project home directory for our website. Okay, so we're going to create a new file called index.html. And then if you type in exclamation and then press tab, it will give you your boilerplate HTML. Or you could type HTML and click this. You'll get that. Same thing. And then since this is going to be a form input, we're going to create a little field where we could type in a grocery item, and then we'll have a button that we click, and then that will add stuff to our list. So for the input field where you can type, it's just an input. Input type equals text, and that's an example of a self-closing tag. So inputs, images are examples of self-closing tags. Doesn't need like a closing input tag. So it's just input.
The index.html, that's a new folder.
It's a
Or,
new file.
okay, thanks.
Yeah, so all home pages or like index, the reason why it's called index is because that's just the default name for the home page. When you visit a website, without specifying which file you're trying to look at, it's gonna assume you're trying to look at index.html. So it's just a common name, index. Um, so like when you visit a website, something.com, you don't go to something.com slash something.html, right? You don't specify the file that you're looking at, but most likely it's gonna be called index.html, and that's what you're gonna see. It's just the default name. Okay, so inputs are void elements, meaning they're self-closing. You can put like a little thing at the end. I don't think you have to, but just type input in. It's a shortcut in VS Code if you just type the name of an element, like input, and then press enter. It'll just auto-complete it for you. In this case, it gave me an input type text, which is what I need. If you're curious, there's other types of inputs, like input type checkbox, if you want a checkbox, input type radio, you want the circle type of checkbox, you want you could put like a file, input type equals file, input type color. I mean, if you want to look, this is what they look like. There's the type text, there's a checkbox, there's a radio button, file, and then color. And there's others, but you can look them up on W3 Schools. So inputs are usually meant to be, the data that goes into the input. It's gonna have a value, right? So usually it's gonna require an ID if you're gonna do something with this with JavaScript later, you want to specify which inputs value you're trying to get. So you could provide an ID. So you could say get the input whose ID is input, for example. Placeholder is just what the text is gonna be, that the default text inside there, the placeholder. It'll disappear as soon as you start typing in there. Value is gonna be what's in the input. It's different than placeholder, because if you put a value, then it's like you literally typed it in there. It doesn't disappear when you start typing. Okay, so value is important because you could also grab the value when you're using JavaScript. And then there's also a name usually in there, and that's also required when you're, sending the data of the form to some other file that handles the data, that collects all the data, maybe saves it in some database or something. It's all backend logic, but um, not really backend logic. I don't know if it would be considered backend, because I could have a file here that maybe handles the input data. But anyways, a lot of times these inputs go inside a form, and the form has an action attribute, and that action attribute is usually some file, maybe some JavaScript file, could be some PHP file, but that's the file that this information is going to get sent to, and then that file is going to handle this information. So usually it figures out what value belongs to what input through the name. So that's why the names are important usually. It's like if I had a name here, maybe it would be, I don't know, subscribe or something. And anyways, it takes the name. That's how it figures out what to do with it. So, but we're not doing that. We're not gonna use an action. It's kind of a older thing. We don't really do this. You're not gonna see this often, because um, now we kind of intercept the form. We stop it from sending data to wherever it's trying to send it to, and we tell JavaScript to handle the data, right? We could just grab the information inside this using JavaScript. We could just say, as soon as I submit the form, we're gonna do event.prevent default, which was what I was showing you the other day. Right? A form can be submitted. So let's say let form equal document dot. We'll do query selector form. That's the only form we have. So form will represent the form, and forms can be submitted. So form dot add event listener. We can listen for a submit event on the form. Okay. And by default, when you submit a form, the page refreshes. Okay, actually, I can't submit the form yet because there's no button to submit it. So to submit a form, you also gonna need a input type submit or a button type submit. Doesn't matter. You could use an input. Input type equals submit. That'll be your submit button. But you could also do button type equals submit. I'm not sure there's no real difference, honestly. You could use submit input or submit button. And right now the button looks empty because I didn't type anything between it, but I could put submit there. They'll look exactly the same. Okay, but either way, when I click a submit button, you can kind of see here, this changes to an X. The page is refreshing. So when you add event.prevent default, you prevent the default form submission, which means you also prevent it from refreshing. It's not actually preventing it. Form.add event listener submit e.prevent default should not do anything when I click. It's still refreshing. I wonder why. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I have two submit buttons. That's why, I don't know. Oh, inspect. What's this? Yeah, I don't think there's any errors. It's just, but the page is refreshing. We shouldn't see it refreshing. What could be causing that? Let's try giving it an ID. And then instead of query selector, I'll do dot get element by ID form. Oh, it's because it says E here, event here, and here it says E. I don't know why I didn't catch that. I don't know why I wrote that. Didn't I press tab and let it automatically do that for me? Okay, form.add event listener, submit, function, e.prevent default. That should technically stop it from refreshing, but it's still doing it. Let's type in form. We actually have the form. Why don't we console log the event? And just console log E. It's not actually console logging, so something's up. Also, there might be filters turned on. No, I don't think there are. But the fact that it's not console logging stuff, that's telling me something's wrong. Okay, but what could it be? Script is fine. Form equal document dot get element by ID form. It's really weird. Form dot add event listener. I'm gonna try. I don't think the browser. Let me try opening it in Firefox. Still nothing. That's weird. Um, is anything sticking out for you guys? I don't know what I'm missing here. We got the form. It was working fine the other day. I don't know why it's refusing to work today. Something's weird. Don't need an action. You just need one input. Type equals submit. I need a script. Can use query selector to grab the form, add an event listener, listen for the submit event, event.prevent default. Let's at least see if form submitted gets logged. That does get logged, okay. And also I think this time it's not refreshing anymore. That's weird. What did I do different? It's exactly the same as before, but now it works. If we do console log event, I'm sure it'll console log the event this time. I don't know, could have been some weird bug, but yeah, there's the event. Okay. You know what I like to do when there's a mystery like this? I'm gonna copy all of this, and I'm gonna do Control Z until it goes back to the way it was when it wasn't working. Yeah, this one doesn't work. For some reason that doesn't work, but the other one worked. And I go to a website called, well, I don't know what it's called. I just type difference checker. So this was, I think, the working one, and then this is the one that doesn't work. What's the difference? There really is no difference. I don't know. It's strange to me. Okay. Anyway, this one is clearly refreshing. It doesn't work. I mean, everything's the same. We got the form with the input. I wonder if that maybe is the problem. But why would that be a problem? No, that's not the issue. It still refreshes if I remove that. Document.get element by ID. Submit. Weird. Okay. Anyway. Ooh, let's go back to the difference checker because the good one was here. Wait, which one was the
The
good
only
one?
difference I notice is for some reason it has submission behavior console, and then if you look at the other one, it doesn't. Submission, there's no behavior.
You mean here or in the console?
Yeah, on the green side, it has behavior console.log event, and then on the red, it doesn't have behavior in it.
But that's just a comment, so it shouldn't matter. It's weird. Anyways, let's this was the working one, I think. No, this was the working one. Okay, I can't copy. Here we go. Copy, paste. What is the difference? This one works. Really weird. I have no idea what the difference is. One wants to work, the other one doesn't. Anyway, let's let it be a mystery. Okay, I have no idea. Uh, anyway, so when you submit a form, there's a submit event on it. You need a button to submit a form, so I added a button. Just put an input here. Type equals text. Placeholder equals grocery item. Actually, you know, um, let's do. We're gonna do something brand new. It's gonna be very similar to the grocery list, but it'll be the next assignment. Instead of wasting time reviewing going over groceries, why don't we just talk about movies? Since we're gonna make um, a list of movies. Okay. Right now we'll start with something simple like just the movie title. Let me save this and close it real quick. I want to rename this to movies. Let me reopen VS Code in this folder. When I do this code dot, that's something I enabled when I was installing VS Code, I think. And during the installation process, it asks, do you want to add code shortcut or something? I forgot what it says exactly, but if you do that, then you can type code space period and it'll open VS Code in whatever folder you're in. But it's the same as just doing file open folder. It's just a little shortcut. Okay, so movies. I'm gonna open this side by side. Okay, so submitting, no refreshing happening anymore. If we inspect the console, we should be getting the event logged to the console. Here's the event. Each time I click, we'll see a new one. Or submit event, submit event. Okay. So when we do that, we do event prevent default. We stop it from trying to refresh the page and send the data to wherever the action attribute was going to send it to. We're just doing it this way now. All right, so we can grab the data. We can grab what's in the input type text here. Let's maybe give it an ID equals title or movie title to be more specific. I'll do camel case. Camel case means we're going to lowercase the first word and then capitalize the second word and every other word after that. And then we'll say once we submit event prevent default console log event. Well, we don't need to console log the event anymore. We'll just take that out. say movie title equals document dot get element by ID movie title. We shouldn't do. I don't know if we should do const. Let's just use let because the value can change. Then again, every time we call the function, I think it's like a new, basically, we call it a new context. So I don't know if it matters. Let me just do a real quick. I'm gonna add after the form. I'm just gonna create a div with the ID of movie list. And then I'm gonna say const movie list equals document.get by ID movie list. That's gonna represent that. And let's just add a movie to it. I'm not gonna do anything crazy. I'm just gonna say movie list dot inner HTML equals what is it, movie title. So const movie title equals that dot value. So we'll just say movie title. Oops, caps lock. Okay, so it works. Adds Harry Potter down there every time I click. But if we change it, it still works. Anyway, so yeah, it doesn't really matter. We use const or let here because every time we call the function, it's like a new instance. It's like it's recreated the whole thing. So it's like this never existed before. Brand new, being formed. It would matter if like in the same context I tried to change movie title. Like if I tried to say movie title plus equals and sorcerer's stone, wouldn't let me do that. I would get an error. Yeah, you can see the error if you open the console. Yeah, assignment to constant variable. So in that way you can't rename it. Also, if you know, if you decided to get the movie title outside of here, which wouldn't be a good idea because you want to get the movie title as soon as you click the button. You don't really care what it was before. So that's why we keep it inside the function. So when we call the function, that's when we want to check what the title is. Anyway, so you can't rename constant variables. That's why I was concerned about that. But if it's in this, if it's just renamed, um, if it's named here, then it doesn't matter. You just can't rename it in the same context. Okay. So like the curly brackets are basically like the world that these guys live in. In there, you can't rename it. Okay. Doesn't exist outside of there. Um, let's get rid of this. I'm gonna erase this part too because we'll do it a nicer way. We'll actually create HTML elements and add them to the page. And then we also need to keep track of all the movies that we're adding. So to keep track of the movies, we'll need a movies array. We'll say that movie list will just be a blank array at first. Okay, but whenever we call the function, that's when we'll add the movie into the list. So we, after the prevent default, we grab the movie title. The movie list is going to be the movie list element, which we'll get back to. I'll delete that for now. That was this guy. I'll leave that there for now. But let's get the array. Say movie list dot push movie title. Remember, push adds an item to the end of an array. And then we'll go to the movie title after we add something to it. Because right now, if I type something, Harold and Kumar, it stays there. When I click submit, it still shows Harold and Kumar. So I'll do we want to clear that. So we have movie title element. I didn't actually grab the element itself. I just got the value over here. So I would have to do document dot get element by ID movie title dot value and set it equal to a blank. If I type something in there and click submit, wait, save this first. Type something, click submit, it erases it. Okay. So this clears it. But if you don't want to constantly do get element by ID movie title dot value or just movie title, because we're repeating this. Anytime you see a repeating code like this, that means you could probably do something to prevent repeating it. So in this case, get element by ID movie title. That's going to be this input. We could just say let movie title element equal document dot get element by ID movie title. So this. Okay, so now instead of repeating that every time, we could just call it movie title element, or just call it title. I mean, it's kind of long, but whatever. Movie title element instead of all of this. So here to replace that with just movie title element. Movie title element dot value, movie title dot element dot value equals blank. That should work exactly the same. I'm putting it outside of the function because it's just an element that's not going to really change when I click the button. The value of it is going to change. So you don't want to do like for the movie title, instead of, if you put the value out here, that would be a problem because then it's not going to wait for you to click the button before it checks for the value. It's just going to The value is going to be whatever the value was right when the page loaded, okay, which is going to be blank. So every time you try to do something, the value is going to be blank because that's what it is on page load. It's when you click the button, that's when you want to check the value. So that's why this is inside here and not out here with the other stuff. Okay. Um, so what do we need to do? We need to populate this list. So we're pushing something into it. We're pushing each new movie that we add will get pushed into the movie list array. And maybe we should um, well, we have this div. Why don't we put the movie list? We'll loop through the movie list, and then for everything that's inside the movie list, we'll display it inside this div here. So movie list is the array. Movie list um, element, we'll call it let movie list element equal document dot get element by ID movie list. So that's this, and then this array, whatever's inside that array, we'll stick it inside here. We should make this probably an unordered list though, since it's gonna have a list inside. So I'll make it a UL. Actually, no, let's keep it a div, because we're not gonna do list items. Because we're not just gonna do a simple list of movies. We're gonna do a whole, maybe a div, like a big box. We're gonna put inside that box a picture of the movie and the title and the description and whatever other information we decide to get later. But for now, it'll just be a div. So we'll just put basically a div will go inside here, and then the title of the movie will be there. Like that. For now, okay? So that means after getting the movie, or clearing the movie title element, well, we can do that at the end. Before we do that, let's say movie list element dot inner HTML equals blank to clear it, right? I want to clear it every time, because if we don't, then the list is just going to duplicate every time, right? I'll remove that just so you can see that happening. We'll say let movie item equal document dot create element div. So that's the div that we're gonna create. That's gonna go inside the movie list. So this div will be creating with create element div, and then we'll set the inner text content, or we could use movie item dot text content equals movie title, or movie item dot inner HTML, or inner text equals movie title. I'm not sure what the difference is, but I mean they all do the same. Text content, inner. I know the difference between inner text and inner HTML, but I think inner text and text content will pretty much do the same thing. So in this case, the Copilot decided to go with text content, so I'll go with that. Right, so we create the movie, we create that div, we add the title to the div, the inner text of that div. So we're creating a div and then putting our movie title inside, but we haven't actually added it to the page yet. We haven't done that yet. To do that, we have to say first we gotta get the movie list, and we already have it, so it's movie list element, movie list element. We're gonna do dot append child. That's how you add one element to another element. You have to use this append child method, and we're gonna add um, movie item into it. Okay, so let's do, I don't know, Sinbad and um, Godzilla and Titanic. Actually, I'm surprised that it's not duplicating like I thought it would. Are we clearing it somewhere? Movie title. We're clearing the movie title, but oh, I'm not using the movie list, am I? Yeah, right now we're not actually doing anything with the movie list. What I'm doing right now is just whatever I'm typing in there, I'm creating an element and putting it here. But I mean, the problem with that is we don't really have a way of keeping track of the movies and deleting them, right? Right now, it's just permanently adding a movie in there, and then that's really based on nothing. It's like static. It's just getting added, and that's it. This movie list right now, we're not doing anything with that. But we want to do something with the list because that's how we're gonna keep track of the movies. We'll have a list of movies, and if we want to remove something from the list of movies, um, we'll get the index of that item and remove it, and then we'll recreate this list based on this list. But we're not doing that, so we have to see movie list. We're pushing into the movie list. We're creating an element. Movie item dot text content equals movie title. But we gotta do this for each movie list item. That's the problem. So here we go. Movie list dot push movie title. Here's where we keep track of all the movies. So we'll say movie list dot for each. So for each movie title inside the movie list, we'll do this stuff. Okay, create element div movie item dot text content equals movie title, movie list element dot append movie item, and then this could be outside of here. The clearing the value of this doesn't have to be in that array. It doesn't have to be in that loop, because you just do this one time. Okay, so this time if I add stuff, we should see duplication. Yep. Okay, so it's duplicating every time because every time I add a new movie, it's going through the whole list of movies again and then adding the whole list of movies into here. Okay, so it's good that we're using the movie list this time to create this, but it's not good that we're duplicating each time. And in order to prevent that, that's the thing that we had earlier. So we'll have to say movie list element dot inner HTML equals blank. Gotta clear it. Now if I do this, we shouldn't see any duplication. unless I write the same movie twice, obviously. But yeah, we fixed that, and now we have a list to keep track of our movies. So since we have a list, we can also, let's add a delete button, okay? But let me stop at this point because um, at this point we just have a list, and everything from the list gets added to the page. Kind of simple for now. So why don't you guys try to do that? Let me, I don't know, I'll send you the code again. It's the same thing as the grocery list, honestly. We're gonna add a few more things to it though. Instead of just simple movie list of titles, we'll probably we'll create an object for each movie with a title and rating and a and an image, and we'll add that to our list instead of just the title. But for now, it's this. I want to give you this and let you, I don't know, just examine it, try to get it working. Um, give you guys like 5 minutes and then let me know if you have questions. For the 155 class, we need to get back to MongoDB. So last time I wanted you guys to sign up for MongoDB. Let me see if I have it here. Let's look at the review this real quick. So when you first create your MongoDB account, you're gonna get a cluster 0. So what is a cluster exactly? It's not cluster is not really a database. Your databases are these guys. So at first you're just gonna have, if you checked the box for sample database, if you wanted to provide you with a sample, you'll probably get this sample underscore mflix, just a list of movies, and you'll get a test. I added the shop earlier when I was doing some testing, so that's why I have my shop. But you can see here databases are 3, collections are 8. So if a cluster is not a database, what is it? Well, a cluster is the server that, or collection of servers that keeps track of your databases. So clusters are servers basically. They're actual computers that keep track of your database because it has to be stored somewhere, right? And that's what the cluster is. And usually it's not just a single data, it's not just a single server. I guess it's a collection of them because one can act as a backup, and I don't know. I don't know how the technology works, but you know the database clusters work together to keep track of your database and make backups and all that. So that's what the cluster is, and a database is basically a collection of tables, related stuff. So if you have a store and you have products, you're not just gonna keep track of your products. You're probably gonna keep track of customers, um, addresses, phone numbers, uh, other store related stuff. So you're gonna want a database for that store. Okay. So in a regular SQL database, you would have a store database, and then inside the store database, you would have tables for different things like customers table, products table, uh, phone numbers table, sales table. I don't know, different tables for different related stuff. And instead of tables here, we call them collections. So if you look here in the sample, we have a comments collection and embedded movies collection, and these are basically the equivalent of SQL tables. Okay, so database is still called a database. sample mflix database, but instead of tables, we call them collections in MongoDB. Um, the thing that I was trying to do last class, I was trying to connect to this and get something from it. The reason why it wasn't working, I figured out later, is because I was putting the collection name, or the, sorry, database name. I was putting it in the wrong place. That collection string that you get, where is it? If we go back to clusters, click connect, and you click drivers. Right, remember it gives you this collection string. Sorry, just gives you this connection string. Part of this, you have to replace this with your password that you created. But then, um, right here where it says mongodb.net/, before the question mark, right there, you have to put in the name of the um, collection that you're trying to connect to. Sorry, database that you're trying to connect. So if I'm trying to connect to sample mflix, I need to add sample underscore mflix where I just showed you. So connect. So right here I have to put sample underscore mflix if that's the database I'm trying to connect to. So I forgot to do that last time. Anyways, a little later, maybe after the break, we'll try that. But right now I'm gonna focus on 154. So, any questions so far? We're both 154 and 155. I think we'll do a movies website. The difference will be that for 155 people, I'm gonna want you to create a movies database and keep track of your movies there in MongoDB. But for 154, we'll do a local database. We'll store things in local storage. Won't be too hard, but basically it'll be saved in your browser. If you go to I think under, not memory, but application, see how there's a application storage, there's local storage, session storage, and cookies. They're all different storages that we have access to, and with JavaScript we can basically add our movies here. That way they will persist. Instead of clearing every time you close your window, they'll still be there until you clear your history. So it's more of a temporary database, but for 155 you guys will have to connect to MongoDB, which means you'll have a bunch of extra things that you're going to need to do, which we'll go over after the break. Actually, why don't we do that now before we move on to adding more stuff to the movie? Any questions at this point? We got this working.
Yeah, what is the um when you click submit and it adds it down to the bottom, which one is that?
When you click submit and add,
Submit it. Yeah, see how it goes to the bottom?
yeah,
Which is that?
that's that's this movie list here. So there's the form above, and then here's the movie list. Every time we click the button, we're saying uh, create element. So we're creating another div element. Div is just this thing.
Uh-huh.
We're creating one of these, and we're saying text content of that is going to be the movie title, which we get when we submit the button. We say movie title equals movie title element dot value. So we save that there, and then we say movie item, which is the div that we created. We're saying the text content of that should be the movie title, whatever we typed in. Potter. So that's how we're creating that. And then when we do append child to movie list element is the outer div. That's this thing. Append child basically adds that new div element that we created, sticks it inside the other one. Okay. And by that point, it already has the movie title inside of it. So that's how we do that. Let's maybe style it. Let's add a little bit of CSS. I'm gonna do some internal CSS, meaning I'll put it here in this style element in the head of my HTML document. So for the movie list, we'll say hashtag movie list. That's how you get an ID, right? It has an ID. We say hashtag movie list, and that refers to this. We can say give it some, I don't know, background color. Let's make it hashtag 000, or I don't know, like a dark gray 222. Color, which is the font color, we'll make that white. Also provide some padding so the text isn't close to the edges. Have some space between the content and the borders. That's it for now. There's the empty box there, and we add stuff to it. Right? Disappears when you refresh, but we'll take care of that when we store the array in local storage. I want to push it down a little bit, so maybe also add let's see, we have a form. Let's say for the form, give it some styles. The form can be let's give that padding too. I'll give this a different background color. That H1, say text align center. Let's also maybe wrap everything. So the form and the div and I guess the title. Oops. All of that, let's wrap it in another element. Let's call it main. Main is a HTML element. It's built in, so not just making it up, but it's basically a div. Main, no difference between main and div. It's just it's specifically supposed to be for your main content, just for organizing it and for semantic purposes. It's better to use the actual name. Okay, and then for that main, we'll say max width 100% and width, let's say like 500 pixels. That means, let me zoom back to 100%. That means the maximum width of this thing is going to be 500 pixels. And if we say margin auto, it'll center it on the page. Better yet, if we say body display flex and justify content center and align item center, we could get it to go to the center of the page, but we also need to make sure the HTML has a height of 100% and the body has a height of 100%, otherwise it will just be stuck at the top. So now it's centered in the middle of the page. So HTML height 100%, body height 100%, and if we make the body display flex, that means we're using this special type of special way of placing elements within the body called flex. Justify content center will horizontally center and align item center will vertically center. And then for main, we probably don't need margin auto anymore. Get rid of that. It has a max width of 100%. Let's make it width 600%, a little bit wider. The max width 100% just means it'll never be wider than my window. So if I make this smaller than 600%, it'll just shrink. So I don't get like horizontal scroll bars. Okay, the H1 text align center, that's pretty obvious what that one does. And then the form padding, that's just this space around the input. If I didn't have that, it would be stuck to the edges. So we add the padding. We also add the padding to the movie list. Same reason. If I get rid of that, it will be invisible at this point because it's empty. Okay, yeah, let's move on. So instead of just saving the movie list here, let's also add it to the local storage so that it'll end up in, I guess, where did it go again? Application, local storage. Right now it's empty, there's nothing in here. I guess there's this wallet link, but I think that's because of some plugin that I have. MetaMask or something. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's MetaMask. Or Coinbase. I don't know, one of those. But you probably don't have that. So we'll have another one called movies list here. And then it'll store this array. Okay, so in order to add this movie list to local storage, we can just do it from here. Movie list push, movie title. Okay, that's where we add stuff to the movie list. Then we can say local storage dot set item movie list, and you can't just store any type of data in there. It has to be in a specific format, in this JSON format. So that's why we do this JSON.stringify movie list. And then if we want to read it again, we have to do JSON.decode. But for now, it's going to be stored in there. So if we inspect, well, it's not there yet because we haven't actually added anything at this point. Right, but let me add something like Harry Potter. There we go. So now inside my local storage, we have a movie list. And inside that, we just have Harry Potter. Let's add Harold and Kumar. Now we have Harold and Kumar in there. And Sinbad. But if I refresh the page, this disappears, but this is still here. So if you refresh the page, or even if you close this and open it again, network, or what is it, application, you can see it's still there. This is blank because we're not actually using this to populate this. We're just using the array that we created. So that's staying. Now we want this to stay. So if we want this to stay, we have to use that to populate it. So here, instead of looping through, where is it? So instead of movie list dot for each, we have to grab the local storage first. So we'll say maybe when we first load the page, or actually right here, maybe we could do it here. We'll say let local storage movie list equal local storage dot get item movie list. But then we have to parse it too. Remember, we did this JSON.stringify movie list, so we converted it into this JSON format, which is basically, it's similar to JavaScript objects, right? JavaScript objects have the key value pairs. In JSON, the both the key and the value are going to be in quotes, so it's a little bit different. It won't understand it unless we do JSON.parse first. So if local storage.movielist, check if we have it there. We'll say movie list equals JSON.parse local storage movie list. So basically we're changing this movie list that we created. We're going to replace it with the one in the local storage. And that should basically maybe, what are we missing? When we first load the page, there's nothing there. So we should probably, right when the page loads, do this. So I'll just copy this movie list dot for each movie, blah, blah, blah. Maybe stick it outside of the event listener thing. And also we should not, okay, here we're just setting it to this empty list, and then we're looping through an empty list. That's not good. So this local storage, this stuff, getting the local storage, we should probably do that outside here. So we'll check if there is a local storage movie list. We'll replace this movie list with the local storage movie list. And then we'll loop through that, and then we'll load the contents onto the page. There's Harry Potter. Add Harold and Kumar. It'll be there. When you refresh the page, it's still there. If I close it, open it again, it's still there. Because now it's checking for local storage. If it finds that, it's replacing that list with, so replacing this empty list with the local storage list. It makes sense? So in case we didn't have this, we would use an empty list, but we're checking here, let local storage movie list equal local storage get item movie list. If it's there, if statement, basic if statement, we check if a condition is true. and if this exists, it's gonna convert to true. So this can either be true or false. If there's no such thing as local storage movie list, it'll be false. But if that exists, it'll be true, and then this will execute. It will say movie list equals JSON.parse. Remember, because again, it's in that JSON format, we have to parse it so JavaScript understands it. Then we'll say, yeah, we'll convert movie list into that. And then we'll loop through that. Before ever clicking the button, we'll just do this here. But then if we click the button, we'll do it again and add something to it. So when we click the button, we'll add something to the local storage movie list. We'll add something to the list that we have, and then we'll store it in the local storage. Then we'll do all the regular stuff, like clearing the movie list contents, and then looping through the movie list, creating a new div for each movie, adding the text, the title to the div, appending that to the movie list element, and then clearing the movie title element form so it's blank. Any questions at this point? Let me share this with you. You can't in the chat you can't really copy paste, I think, so I'll just give you the index file. You can download it. But we gotta do a couple extra things. Right now it's just the movie title, so we're gonna wanna add some more stuff to the movie list. We're gonna convert things a little bit. So movie title element, movie list. We're doing movie list dot push, and we're just adding the movie title. But what we should do if we want more complicated data instead of just a list of movies, what we're gonna have to change is, instead of just pushing the movie title, we're gonna have to push an object into the movie list. So it's not just gonna be a list of strings that are gonna be whatever this movie element value is, because that's just gonna be text that we typed into the input. Instead of just the text, we're gonna pass an object, and the title of that object is gonna be the movie title. But then we're also gonna pass in some other things like description. We're gonna have to figure out where we're gonna get the description from. So we're basically gonna need another input for the description. So right now we just have a input for the movie title. We'll need one for input. We'll need one for description. Probably do movie year as well. And genre. It's giving me everything but the one I was trying to add. We'll do movie year, and then let's do input type equals it'll be text, I guess, for the image. we'll just have to copy a movie URL. So we'll copy the URL of an image and put it in there. But yeah, so now in addition to the title, we also have description, year, and image URL. And movie description, movie year, image URL. So going back to here where we're pushing stuff into the movie list in addition to the title. So before we were just doing movie title, right? Just a simple string movie title. Now we're doing an object. So curly brackets, and objects have key value pairs. So we'll do title, movie title, description. We'll have to grab the movie description too. So just like we're getting the movie title element, we should probably get the other elements. Movie description element, movie year element, movie image URL element. So now that we have all those elements, we have to get their values. So movie title equals movie title element dot value. Well, description is movie description element dot value. Year, image URL. And then we can now add these things. So movie description, and comma separated key value pairs. So movie year is going to be movie year. Let's call it year so it's not the same name. Description, year, image, URL. What do we call it? We just call it image URL. Let's make this image URL too. Why not? You're allowed to use the same. The key could be the same as the value. They could have the same name. Actually, whenever they are the same, you could just do that. Although I don't know if it'll work in this case. I'll just put it. I'll put both for now. So we're pushing this into the movie list. Now we have more inputs. Blah blah blah. Year 2005 or whatever. Submit. Oh, let's put something in there. So now you can see it's showing object. And if we look inside the local storage, under application, movie list. Now the first three are just text, but the last one is actually an object, as you can see. I'm gonna delete this. You could right click on your under application tag, you click any of these and delete them if you want to start fresh. But yeah, this will allow us to upload more than just a movie title. It will allow us to include a bunch of other stuff. We're gonna have to modify what we're showing in here though, because it's gonna show object now because it doesn't understand JavaScript objects. There's no way for this div to display an object like that. We'll have to break down the object and get the title and the year and all that and create another element with it, and That way we'll be able to show it, but kind of ran out of time for this. It's already break time, so I don't know. We'll see if I can get back to it after I talk about 155 stuff after the break. But here, since I updated it, let me just give you the updated version. Actually, no, I'll give it to you later because right now it's pointless. It's just gonna show object every time you add something. So once I fix that, I'll send it to you. For now, just try to understand the um the one I sent you, which is just uploading the title by itself, and then you'll try to convert it to taking in objects. Okay, any questions before we take a break? Okay, so one thing I want to change here real quick is instead of a input for the description, we should use a text area because if you're gonna have a long description, you don't want to just type it in a little box like this. So here where we have description, let's replace this with a text area. Text area placeholder will be movie description ID, movie description required. The required we could I mean, if you don't want to require, you could just remove that. But let's just require it. And then for the text area, it's gonna look like this now. It's resizable. I don't want that. I also don't want it to look like this. It's kind of ugly. So what we should do is for the form, make this display flex direction column. And then for all the inputs and the text area, let's give them a bit of margin and padding.
I'm not sure if you're talking yet, but we can't hear you.
Sorry, I was talking and I'm okay. Okay, sorry. Let me pick up from the beginning. So I was saying earlier we had a text area for the movie description. I mean, we had an input for movie description. I think it's better if we use a text area instead because a little bigger space to type in. And then I don't like text area being all scalable like this. So for the text area, we can say resize none and give it like a default height. So I can't resize it anymore, and it has a height of 100 pixels, which is good enough. I also made the whole form display flex just so I could, rearrange the stuff inside of the form into a column with flex direction column. Yeah, it's just some styling updates I just did, and I replaced the input for the description with a text area. So here it is. So instead of an input, it's a text area. Okay. And you could remove the required if you want, but I'm gonna leave it. Required just means like it won't let you submit the form without filling these in. You'll get this little message that you need to fill it out. Okay, so nicer looking form. Let's maybe for the top part here, instead of the movies, I'm gonna say add movies. And then in the movie list, maybe right above the movie list, write movie list. And we can make this H2 also text align center. So styling it a little bit, and now let's get back to the JavaScript. So I was saying, if I do add a movie, like if I go here and copy some of this stuff, get the description, year, what year was this released? 2001. Image URL, I'll just copy image URL if I can find one. I can't open this. Open link in a new tab. How do I get the image URL? Okay, I'll just Google it. Sorcerer's Stone. Copy image address. Paste that in here. Okay, I'm gonna submit this, but it's just gonna say object because like I said, it doesn't understand objects. Like it's basically like I'm trying to I'm adding a JavaScript object in here, and like there's no way for HTML to understand that, right? It's not gonna know all that stuff. So we have to break it down and create an element for each of the values of that object. So where is it? Okay, so movie title equals movie title element dot value, movie description movie element dot value, and then movie list, we're pushing in this object with all these things, right? Title, movie title, description, movie description. So this is what's getting pushed inside the div instead of just the title, just some text. It's this object, and it doesn't know how to display that, so you're getting object. But if we do something else with this, instead of just saying movie item dot text content, movie list dot for each. So instead of a movie title now, it's movie. And then we'll still have movie item create element by ID div. We'll still do that, but we're not gonna do movie item dot text content equals movie title anymore. We're gonna instead say let movie title equal document.create element h3. We'll create an h3 for the title. Movie description, we create element p. Oh, by the way, for whoever was asking about Copilot, I guess there's a free plan. It's just you're gonna be limited on how many autocompletes you can do. So Copilot free plan. Yeah, so there's GitHub Copilot free, available to individual developers who don't have access to Copilot through an organization or enterprise. Limited access to select Copilot features, allowing you to try AI-powered coding. And then for the Pro, it also says verified students, teachers, and maintainers of popular open source projects may be eligible for free access. So I don't know. See if your lapacific.edu email gets you a free Copilot Pro. But if not, I think the free plan has like what is it? Includes up to 2,000 completions in IDEs per month. 2,000, I don't know, I feel like that's a lot. And then 50 chat requests, but you don't really need chat requests. You just ask, what is it, Chat GPT. Anyways, back to this. Where were we? Movie item, movie title will be an H3. Movie description will be a paragraph. Let movie year, what was it? Title, description, year. Yeah, movie year equal create element P, so it'll be another paragraph. And then for the image, um, we'll do an image element. What else we're gonna need? So for the movie title, text content will be movie title. Movie description dot text content will be movie description. And then movie year, same thing. Movie year dot text content will be movie year. For image, movie image, instead of changing the text content, we're going to change the source attribute, and we're going to set it to movie.image URL. Okay, then I guess if you want to do things properly, you could add an alt tag to your movie image. We're not going to change the styles here. We'll do that through CSS. It's suggesting I change the style here, but that's it. Then we just need to append all of these guys to the movie item div. So movie item dot append child, movie title, movie description, movie year, movie image. So all these things that we created, we're gonna add it to the movie item, which is a div. So this H3 paragraph, other paragraph, and the image. We're gonna stick these inside this div. And then we're gonna stick that div inside the movie list element. Where before I was just taking the movie title and sticking it inside here. Now I'm creating another div and I'm sticking all these things inside that div, and I'm sticking that div inside the movie item list, movie list element. So now refresh the page. You have to run this again. Or wait. All this stuff that I'm doing, copy it. Remember we're doing it here too. Instead, this is the old one, right? Where I was just creating a div element and sticking the title inside. Since I replaced the other one, I'm also going to replace this one. But that's a lot of repetition again. So why don't we make a function that does this? Because I'm repeating it here and there. So why don't we do let's create a function called a function render movie list. And basically just stick this in there. So now it's also going to clear the movie list. So instead of doing all this here, I'll delete that. And I'll just call this function render movie list. I'm gonna mute Joaquin. I think you're unmuted accidentally. refresh. I might be getting an error. Let's check real quick. Oh no, it's because I didn't call render movie list. So we created a function called render movie list. Why don't we, when the page loads, we'll just do that. Render movie list. There we go. Okay, so our first movie works. That means whatever else we add should get added to. So instead of object object, now we're getting elements created for each of the different keys of that object: the title, the description, the year, the image URL. Creating an element, we're putting it all together inside a div. Let's give that div an ID so we can, or a class so we can easily style it. So where is it? Let movie item equal document dot create element div. Why don't we say movie item dot class list dot add movie item. Okay, adding a class movie item to that so I could style it here in my CSS. We have our movie list and then we have our movie item inside there. What's this? Margin 10 pixels, padding, background color, border radius, sure. So now it has this gray background, and then let's make that black. Okay, fine. I'll leave it gray. Let's do rounded corners. Let's make that like more obvious rounded corners. Let's make this thing a little bit brighter instead of 222 for this background. I'll just make it like a, I don't know. Let's pick something. A bright color. I'm also gonna round the corners on that guy. And then let's center, what should we center? This padding is too little, let's make it 20 pixels. Movie item paragraph text align center. Wait, sorry. Keep that left. Let's text align center the movie item H2. Was it an H2? Oh no, it was an H3. Center that. Center the image too. Movie item image. No, let's not make it 100%. Let's say max width is 100% for the image in case it's bigger than the container. And then we don't need height auto. We don't need border radius. But let's do display block, so I could then say margin auto to center that. Oops. Okay, let's try adding another movie. Okay, we'll add Godfather. Grab an image of it. Copy image address.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Is there something in the JavaScript, I'm just not sure, that's indicating that you have to fill out every single field, or like how is it knowing? Because you have to fill out every field to hit submit, right?
Yeah, that's this required.
Oh, they're required.
Actually,
Okay, got
yeah.
it.
Yeah, you could, if you erase that, it won't pop up and make you do it.
Okay, got it.
Okay, let's add the Godfather. Let's see if it gets populated. Boom. Okay, cool. We added the Godfather. So this is cool. Now every time we add a movie, it'll get added and it'll get styled the same way because we have class applied to uh, each movie item. So they have the same class. They'll be styled the same way. And then if I refresh, it's still here. And if I close this, it's still gonna be there because we're storing it in local storage. So local storage is it's gonna be saved in your browser, even if you don't have that particular website open. If you go to application, you can see here. Where is it? Oh, maybe I do have to open. Yeah, it's not there. I guess it if you go to the same address, it'll pop up. So if I go to here, localhost or 127.0. whatever, that VS Code opens. We go to application. There it is. Its movie list is here. Yeah, so origin here. So for that address, it's gonna have the movie list saved until I delete it from here by right clicking, or if I go to history and clear my history. I think if you right click here when you have this open and do empty cache and hard reload, actually no, it should stay there, I think, right? Yeah, okay. Because local storage is not cache. Cache storage is cache. And we chose to do it in local storage, but we could also do cookies or cache, I guess, or session storage. Session storage is more for like when you have a login. Each user, when they log in, they can store their session data. So a session is when you log in to somewhere. Cool. So this is all I want the 154 people to do for the next assignment. But you still should do the simple grocery list. The grocery list is this, but less complicated. You're just adding a list of grocery items. Wait, we also need to add a delete button. We have no way of deleting any movie that we add here. So we should add a delete feature. Also, what's going on here? Something's wrong with the styling. Why can't I see up there? Oh, you know why? Because my content is kind of tall now. I'm still trying to center everything in the body, and yeah, display flags justify this. No longer, we don't need this anymore since we have a bunch of stuff on the page. Well, we do need, I mean, we could keep justify content center or just take away align item center. There we go. Okay, so our movies can be populated and stored in our local storage. So I'm gonna move on to 155 because we're gonna do things a little bit differently. If you're in 155, you still wanna have this, but we're gonna load our movies not from local storage, but from MongoDB. We'll figure out how to do that. Any other questions at this point?
Can you just send the updated text to the chat?
Sure.
Thanks.
Where's the chat? Okay, so that's for everyone. Of course, if you're free to style it however you want. I put some styles here, but you can change it up, make it look nicer. Add, I don't know, different fields. Maybe you want to add genres or whatever. Um, I'll get back to adding the delete button later, I guess. I don't want to waste too much time. I want to move on to MongoDB, make sure we know how to connect to our cluster and create new databases in here. Browse collections. So you're gonna start off with a sample movie flicks, maybe if you enable that, and a test database. The collections are just the tables that are inside the database. But we don't really need any of these because we're gonna create our own. I mean, I'll leave it for now, but I'll just delete this one. But let's do, okay, I'll stay in this movies directory. 'Cause we're gonna do all the stuff I did last class again, setting up MongoDB and all that. Just get used to doing npm init to initialize a node project. So npm init. Oh, I forgot to do the -y. Package name, movies, version 1, description, movies, database, server. I'll just call it movies database project because entry point index.js, sure. Test command, git repository. We'll add the git repository later. I don't have one at the moment. Or we could do it now. Okay, so we'll do, what do we have so far? I don't have one yet, so I'll click on, where's our, yeah, here we go. Create new repository. It doesn't show because I have it minimized, but there it is normally. You can also click here, new repository. It's just hidden whenever you minimize it. Anyway, new. Let's call this movies. And that's it. Create. Now my Git repository, if I want to include it here, I could just copy this address, paste it here. Keywords, I don't know, author, David, license, I don't know. I really don't understand the licenses, like what license you're supposed to use. I'll just not use one. Is this okay? Yes. Okay, so I had to do all that manually or one by one because I forgot to do git npm init -y. I forgot the -y part. Let's add our dev. Don't forget the comma here. This is JSON. We'll do nodemon index.js. Speaking of index.js, let's create one. Index.js. So we're gonna need Express and nodemon. I don't think I have nodemon. We don't have nodemon. Remember, it's a dev dependency we're gonna add. Right now we don't have any dependencies at all. So let's install npm I express, npm I nodemon dash capital D to save it as a dev dependency. npm I nodemon dash capital D. Okay, now that got added as a dev dependency. What else? Npm install MongoDB. npm npm I mongoose. I think that's it. We need Express, MongoDB, Mongoose to make connecting to MongoDB easier. MongoDB itself to allow connecting to MongoDB. Nodemon for automatically restarting our server when we make changes and save it. And an Express to more easily send requests and stuff. I'll give you guys a couple seconds to add those. Okay, so now that I have all of these installed, Express, MongoDB, Mongoose, and nodemon, let's go back to our, okay, so in our scripts, dev nodemon index.js means when I type in the terminal npm run dev. I'm gonna type this in my terminal. It's gonna run from my scripts the dev script, which is nodemon index.js. So maybe add another one, start, which will just be node index.js, which will run it without nodemon. We need a start because we're not gonna have nodemon in a production environment. We'll use start in production to start the project. And that's it for the scripts. That's it for our package.json. Okay, let's go to index.js and start adding all the things we need here, like const express equals require express, const mongoose equals require mongoose. Let's use express, just test if it works. Const app equals express, const port equals process.environment.port or 3000. We don't have a process.environment.port, but that means basically if we had an environment variable called port, it would use that. Usually you put environment variables in a .env file. So we put like port in here and then equals 3000. And that's what process.environment.port is. If we were gonna use that. If we have that, it'll use that. If not, it'll use 3000. Let me see if it works actually. Let's do, instead of 3000, I'll do 3333. Okay, let's move on to let me just test Express before I try MongoDB. Let's say app.listen port console log server is running on port. Let's run npm run dev. It says server is running on port 3000. Okay, it's running on 3000. It's not actually using this one, probably because there's other things we need besides just typing that in. I forgot what else we need to actually use this. Let's see. But do this for now. Get it up and running. Okay, yeah. We need to install extra things to actually use this one. It's still on three. Yeah, we need to install something called dot environment, npm install dot environment. But I'm not gonna do that because whatever. Like usually, if we did end up uploading this to like a server, like for example, we might use Heroku later. Not sure. Basically, a place that we could run our backend, and then we'll create a front end that will communicate with the backend. Application will work that way instead of just on our local computer. But Heroku will have its own like env file in there, and I don't know. I think there you don't have to install extra stuff. Anyway, forget about that for now. To keep it simple, but you could include this. It doesn't hurt to include it, because if it's not there, it'll just use 3000. Okay, app.listen port console log server is running on port. So that works. We know our express is working. So next, before we do that, we'll set up Mongo. I'll do const mongo URI equals. And then in here, we'll paste our connection for MongoDB, which we'll get from here by clicking on, just go to your overview, and then maybe not overview. Click the home button or click clusters, and then connect. So just find database, clusters, click connect, click drivers, copy this, paste it in here, replace this part, db password, with your actual password, Mongo Bongo in this case. And then here after mongodb.net /, you can type in your database name. Okay, so since we're making a movies database, I'll just call it movies. I mean, we have a sample movies database. I'll try maybe switching movies with the sample database. See if we could use some of that data. Actually, you know what? Before we create our own database, why don't we try getting stuff from the sample database? Because last time it didn't work. So browse collections. There's my sample mflix. So I need that name, sample underscore mflix. That name has to go here. So after mongodb.net / and before the question mark, sample underscore mflix. Now it knows to connect to that database. Okay, so I don't know why it keeps giving errors. All right, so now we're connected to this database. That means we have access to comments, embedded movies, sessions, theaters, and users. We're not connected yet. That's our connection string. We set that up correctly. Then we should be able to connect. So mongoose.connect. We'll use the Mongo URI that we saved there. This new URL parser thing, we don't need that. Just delete that. And then we'll say then console log MongoDB connected, catch error console.error MongoDB connection error. So if we connected successfully, we'll say Mongo connected. If not, we'll get an error. And right here it's saying Mongo connected, so it's right. But if I missed something in the URI, we're gonna get an error. See, I got an error, connection error, Mongo bad auth, blah blah blah. So as long as that's right, it should just say Mongo connected or whatever you put here. Okay. I'll get back to this app.useExpress.json in a bit. This basically just means allow JSON data to come back. Okay, otherwise it won't recognize it. App.useExpress URL encoded. I'm not sure what that would be for. Skip that. Okay, we don't need any of this stuff. We don't need this either yet, so just keep it simple. We know we're connected, so let's say let's bring back Express app.listen on the port. Server is running on port 3000. App.use express.json. I'll add this later because right now we don't need it yet. So app.get so if we do an app.get / we should just say hello world. So if we go to localhost 3000, control click. I don't know why it doesn't open it right away, or I feel like it opened it in a tab that I'm not seeing. Yeah, it opened it with Firefox. Okay, it says cannot get cannot get. So the app.get is not working. What are we missing there? App.listen port, app.get / Mongo's connect. Oh, we don't need that yet. Let me try manually restarting. Sometimes, I don't know, even though I have Mongo NodeMon running, I feel like I still need to restart it. npm run dev. What's this dot? Oh, nothing. Why cannot get? Let me inspect it. Call to evaluation blocked by CSP. Default source none, missing unsafe evaluation. I wonder if it'll still say that in Chrome. Got Express, we got Mongoose. App equals Express. Port 3000. App.listen port. Oh, we should add the app.listen after this. Oops. And then, did I forget to close something? What's missing? Oh, you know what? Sorry. It's because I have this running, quit Docker. I know that interferes with it sometimes. My port 3000 is messed up because this Docker app that I have is also using port 3000. So it's interfering. So once I shut that down and restart this, I think it'll work. Also, if I use like a different port, maybe if I use 5000 instead, and I go to port 5000, yeah, that works. But since I shut down Docker, I should be able to use 3000. But I might need to restart it though. Did it shut down yet? No, it's still shutting down. Anyways, I'll use 5000 since 3000 is busy on my computer. So 5000, save, and we'll go to 5000. Okay, sorry, I forgot that gets in the way, and it's like frozen, still stopping. Anyway, I'm using 5000 now, and looks like it's working. So let's try connecting to MongoDB then. So we're doing mongoose.connect. If I go to app.get /API.movies, let's try grabbing mongoose.connection. We're gonna await. Remember, this async await thing is an alternative to using this then catch. Actually, we could rewrite this. Actually, I'm gonna write what's called an IFI. So in JavaScript, there is something called an IFI, immediately invoked function execution, which means call a function as soon as you define it. Because you know how you usually create a function, function name, and then it doesn't actually execute until you call the function name. Well, if you want to immediately call it when you create the function, you can just wrap it with parentheses. Alright, so in this case, we'll create a function which will basically do this, mongoose.connect, but we'll use await. So just to be consistent, because I'm using await over here, async await, let's do the same thing for this one. Instead of dot then, we'll say function async. We'll try await mongoose.connect and then catch error console.log. So same thing we're doing here. I'm just gonna do it there. Why is it saying await expression are only allowed within async functions? Oh, because I put this in the wrong place. I think. There we go. Async function. Try await mongoose.connect. Catch error. It's the same thing, right? So instead of dot then this, I'm just gonna say await this. So and then instead of dot catch, we'll just do like a try catch block. We'll try to do that. If it doesn't work, we'll try to catch the error. So I'll get rid of this now. I'm just doing this to stay consistent with the other await async. Okay. Try await mongoose connect. There's a URI. Catch an error if there's an error. App.use express.json. I'll get back to that. We'll try to go to API/movies and then try to find a movie, but let's go to MongoDB, make sure there is a movies database. I mean, there it is, movies. So we'll try to grab the movies by saying await mongoose.connection.database.collection, because it is a collection. These are all collections, because 7 collections. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So all of these are collections. So db.collectionmovies.find. I don't know if we need dot to array. I'll just erase that part for now. And result.json movies. That means once you grab the movies, convert it into JSON and send it back. Okay. And catch any errors along the way. So I should be able to go to /API/movies to test this. We got an internal server error. Probably because now we need app.useExpress.json. Oh, that didn't fix it. Okay, I'll erase that since that's not fixing it yet. Wait has no effect on this expression. But why? Why would it say that? Okay, we're getting an internal server error, which means I don't know, maybe I messed up my DB connection. No, I mean, are we getting the connection here? Maybe I have to restart this. npm run dev. Server is running. Error fetching movies, cannot read properties of undefined reading collection. Okay, pays to read these. Fetching movies, cannot read properties of undefined reading collection. Let me try to break this down a little. I'm gonna say const db equals mongoose.connection.db, and then const movies equals await, instead of mongoose.connection.db, let's just say db.collection movies dot find. Oh, let's get rid of this. I don't think we need that. Still getting the error. It's just not recognizing movies, I think. Dot find. We should create what's called a model after the movies, and then use that model, I think, because I don't know, normally you're supposed to create a model. I thought it would work without doing it, but I'm not sure if that's exactly the problem, but I'll try it anyway. Let's create a so it helps to create models because then you could just like model a model after your actual database. Like if our movies, we have all these properties, refresh, we have ID, plot, genre, runtime. We could create something like a JSON object that matches that, and then we can send that JSON object and um, what do you call it? Retrieve it from the database. So I'm gonna create a folder here called models, and inside that folder we'll call this movie.json. Sorry, not JSON. It will be a JavaScript object. Let's call it movie.model. So we know it's a model. Okay, const. We're gonna need mongoose for this. Equals require mongoose, and then const schema equals mongoose, or we could just put movie schema equals new mongoose. And then why is it writing it like this? Title, year, genre, director, actors. Is this what we have here? Title. We don't need all of it. I'll just put a couple things. At least the ones that we have. Title, year, genre. Are those all stuff we have here? I think they are. Well, it's genres. So I'll delete that. And then year, director. I don't know. I don't see director in there. I'm sure it's there, but I'll simplify. Just title, year, plot. Yeah, plot's there. Poster. Well, it's called poster, not poster URL. Let's make it match that more. And the collection is movies. Okay. And we have to export this so we could use it. Equals mongoose.model movie module.exports equals movie. So we're gonna export this movie and then we should be able to use it in index.js here. But up here I gotta import it. So const movie equals require dot forward slash models slash movie dot model. So we're grabbing that movie that we exported here. We have this model now that kind of resembles the data that we have in our database. And then here when we're trying to get the movie, let's try let me also make sure this is correct. If this is wrong, that could also be causing this. Sample underscore mflix. And then Mongo Bongo, that's correct, I think. Cluster 0, blah blah blah, MongoDB slash. I think it's right. But we're still getting the type error cannot read properties undefined reading collection. Let's limit this to just 10 movies. I don't think that's gonna make a difference. And then what else? Okay, if all else fails, why don't we Fetching movies. Well, this isn't gonna help Googling this because it's kind of specific to my problem. Movies index JS 2533. 2533. So the line that's giving the problem is this one. So at least we have a clue like what's causing it. Let me try just console logging it. That doesn't help. Let's restart this again. So I don't think I'm connecting to MongoDB because we're supposed to be getting MongoDB connected in our console log, but it's not happening. So something's wrong with this. See, we're getting running on localhost 5000, but I'm never getting this message MongoDB connected. So I'm gonna turn off the node, the express stuff, and just try to connect right now. Yeah, we're never getting this message. So I probably messed it up when I tried to use the async. So instead of doing an iffy, I'm just gonna define it like this and then call it. And yeah, now it says connected to MongoDB. Now it works, and now the whole thing should work. Yeah, it looks like it works now. We're console log. See, we're getting the list of movies now. I guess I messed up the iffy. I'm not sure what I did wrong though. Async function, connect to database, connect to database. But let's cut. I'm gonna copy that and Control Z, and then go back, compare it, see what I got wrong. So okay, Mongoose connect, Mongo URI. I mean, I thought I don't need this stuff. I don't think that's the problem. Besides that, what else did we forget here? Console log connected. I mean, it looks exactly the same. But anyways, for some reason, this iffy that I tried to do didn't work, so that was causing the problem. Anyway, we'll just do it this way. We're still using async await, but I'm just not immediately calling the function like I was. Oh, you know what? I probably forgot to. That's what I forgot. I forgot to put this here, I think. An extra, so when you're doing an iffy, immediately invoked function call, you also have to add two parentheses, opening and closing parentheses, to actually call it. Since I wasn't doing that, it was never connecting to MongoDB. That's how I was never seeing this or this. And then, yeah, I was trying to connect to the database and retrieve stuff from there, but I hadn't actually connected. Yeah, and if we refresh here, we don't get, well, let me close this so we could open it again. Let me actually close this to clear it out and run npm run serve again. Or sorry, dev, not serve. Go to localhost 5000 slash movies, actually slash API slash movies. And not 3000, sorry, went to 3000, 5000. Okay, we're getting it. I want to get it here though, not here. So instead of console logging, we'll do result.json movies. And then I think here's where we'll finally need this app.use express.json. There we go. So the app.use express.json is going to be necessary when you're trying to get JSON data back, or else you get an error. It's not necessary if you're just saying response.send like hello world, because that's just some text, it's not JSON. But if you're actually trying to get JSON data, you'll have to include that. What did I do? And I broke it again. Anyway, it's not working perfectly, but we're getting there. At least we're able to read from the sample database. It's actually easier to just create your own than to use the sample database. I was gonna send it to you guys. Let me fix it and then I'll update it on Google Classroom. I don't know what I just did, but messed it up again. Anyway, sign out should be posted. I'll update the instructions, but basically everyone's gonna be creating that movies list website, but the way we fetch the movie data will be different. So if you're in 154, you'll store it and fetch it from local storage. 155, I'll update the instructions on how to actually get the movie data from maybe we should just use the sample database because it already has a bunch of movies in it, at least for now, and then next week we could look at creating our own. Okay, that's it for tonight. Oh, now it's working. I think the server just temporarily goes down, starts up again. I don't know. It's weird. I didn't change anything. Now it works. So it could be because it's a free database. I mean, we are using the free plan, and maybe that's why this keeps crashing. And so every time that crashes, I think it affects it. Anyway, okay. It works. So I'll just send you this. You could use this to connect and fetch the data. Next week we'll look at adding app.post to actually update the data in the database. Cool. All right. Any questions?